as the government is working out the incentives, the government tries as much as possible not to also punish organizations for growing. With respect to what we are doing to retain our people, especially in the light of brain drain, before we were worried and we were reacting. But at some point we had a discussion and we decided to respond. Because we understand in business, to solve problems, we first have to identify the constraint and then try to maximize the constraint. So we realized that a lot of our people were leaving. Okay, so we train them, they leave, and they don't just leave to local companies, they leave to go abroad. As per the real reason they leave is that they are tired of the country. They don't hate us as a business, they just don't want to continue staying in the country. So, and over time we were losing important resources simply because we made a decision to just be in the geography called Nigeria, or to just remain there. So we decided to embrace brain drain rather than to fight it. And in embracing it, we decided to expand as a business. We went to the UK, we set up so that we can actually ultimately end up not losing those important resources. The ones that are tired of the country, that are immigrating at all costs, well, maybe we should just retain them and they can continue working from wherever they are in our foreign office. So we've done that. Now we are a bit more deliberate in terms of empowering our people. Not a bit more, we're very deliberate now. We're bringing our people very close, getting them to understand what we're trying to do, carrying them along all the way, and getting them to see clearly the picture of the kind of future we're working towards. So they see it, they understand it, they key into it, and they can see clearly how it is going to also impact on them. We are very deliberate about bringing them closer and talking more with them. Okay, so this year alone, we have a lot more town hall sessions with our people where we talk more. Instead of just occasionally talking with them, we talk more regularly with them. And now we also try as much as possible to put reward structures, okay, that will ensure that at least they see some benefit in continuing to, be with us. And then we try to be as much as possible to paint very clearly the picture of the future we're working on. That's really very important. There's a time we tried to visualize it so well that we even had to write a utopic article that will be published in 2026 about the company, just so that I can see clearly what the organization is working towards, how we're getting there. So I think we've strengthened the relationship we have with some universities so that we can get more resources and then focus on training them. So while we have expanded outside the country, with the objective that we can get more of those foreign opportunities and feed the local business, get more of the resources. So instead of just sitting down and be helpless, we can actually go out, get those opportunities, and offer lesser costs. So for us, we just decided to maximize the situation we found ourselves in. Well, if we were government, maybe we'll be taking some policy decisions that will ensure that the IT industry is not really crowded out, because it's actually the ticket. You see, before I used to think it's difficult to have a made in Nigeria car, but some organizations have proven that you can have one. But if you notice, the cars typically are not fully manufactured here. But there's something that you can start and conclude that is very world-class, high quality, that you can start and conclude, which is software, which we do here.
Brain drain is a reality, but it's a reality of something. What is that? It's globalization. The world is becoming a global village. In fact, it is a global village. Anything can be done from anywhere. And places and people that were previously not accessible are now very accessible. So before, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, maybe the developer in Nigeria here was not so accessible to the company in Silicon Valley. But the internet and the globalization has made it such that everyone is just a stone's throw, theoretically, away from each other. So it's a reality. The question is, what do we do about it?
Even COVID has made us no longer prisoners of geography.
Exactly. So if I look at governments and regulators, they play a very critical role. They play a role in creating an enabling environment that allows innovation to thrive. but in a structured manner that ensures that the system meets and continues to meet its own objectives and goals. So the system, Nigeria, the society in Nigeria, must continue to meet its goals, and the regulator and the government plays a role in ensuring that there's an enabling environment with the right framework that guides that. In the world of today, government regulation is not just policing, but it is going beyond policing. And that's why I use the word innovation, fostering innovation. So if the government were to foster innovation, there will be some things to look at, which they are already doing, and they need to intensify efforts in. There's the concept of structure, trying to make sure that the structures around the organizations that are in that environment are right. For instance, if you look at the financial sector, being very deliberate about the structures surrounding the financial companies, their makeup, the capital base and all that, so that you ensure that high quality or good quality companies come in, but finding a balance so that you don't stifle the young ones from coming up. So, but the government has to take structure very seriously and look at it both from a point of view of ensuring that there's high quality, but also ensuring that you are able to have young, hungry companies come in, because they are the ones that bring in innovation. And remember, the goal is to continue to enable innovation. Secondly, the question is capacity development. If you look around us, you look at the US, they have Silicon Valley. You look at UAE, there's the Dubai Silicon Oasis. They have tons of ICT parks in India. What is common to these countries? They are hubs of ICT development. India, in fact, is a home for outsourcing. The whole world outsources today. You go to China, they have manufacturing parks, manufacturing cities, and the whole world outsources manufacturing to China. So what's our goal? If we want to enable innovation here so that the whole world can also begin to outsource IT to Nigeria, then we also need to be very intentional as a government and as a regulator on enabling that by creating the right capacity and skill development. How will we do that? Let's have parks, ICT parks in various geopolitical zones around the country. Parks that ensure startups are able to come in and thrive. And the key infrastructure they need, internet, power, and all that, are provided in those parks so that they can begin to attract talent and they can begin to attract jobs. And those people, just by living in those parks and living around there and working there, will attract foreign investment there. They will live there and they will attract growth in those communities. There will be businesses, there will be hotels, there will be restaurants. Things will happen in that environment. They will be able to grow and pay tax. So if you enable them, they will be able to train people in those localities. And then those localities will be able to, let's have Lagos all around the country. And by having it is by having ICT parks, because it is one of the lowest investments. If you want to create a manufacturing city, the investment you have to make there is many orders of magnitude higher than that of ICT. Then after you do this, another role the government can play is in outreach. When you have done this, it becomes easier for the government to also begin to blow our trumpets out there. I was reading the other day of Cuba. Cuba currently, they have an arrangement with some countries, Brazil and co., where the government is paid for the country to outsource her doctors over there. So they embraced the fact that doctors were emigrating and instead made it into a form of revenue for the country. So they now started investing more in training their doctors and giving them off a fee to those other countries. It means that they are also publicizing the facts of what they are doing. We must not give out our people here, but there's a role the government has to play in the outreach, letting the world know we have these parks, we have this young talent, come and give them jobs to do. And then the final thing will also be in the enabling laws and incentives for these companies, for this technology ecosystem to thrive. What are the incentives we give them? When companies start up, and it has to go beyond the generic incentives of, oh, okay, maybe don't pay tax for the first 1 year. That is, if we want to stimulate the ICT economy, we have to study them and see what are the incentives that they will need to thrive. Amazon, for instance, if you want to start up a company, you can host on Amazon and they give you the first year free credits. And then what happens? As you grow as a business, you are dependent on the Amazon infrastructure, and then you begin to pay them mega bucks. It's no secret now that the most valuable company in the world. So we have, and those are incentives they have given to companies in the IT sector, and they have held them. As they grow, they can no longer leave Amazon. What are the incentives Nigeria and the government can give these startups so that the startups are incentivized to come and start there, not go and incorporate outside, come and incorporate in there. And then as they grow, they will not have no reason to leave. So I think the government is already playing certain roles and already doing certain things across these facets. As we become more deliberate about them, then it becomes easier for the government to actually enable innovation.
And just to add, it's also important that as the government is working out the incentives, the government tries as much as possible not to also punish organizations for growing, okay, in terms of the incentives. So you need to find a way to reward organizations for actually growing and employing more people, not punish them because they are now working so hard and they are now able to grow. So there has to be incentive for growth. So there's incentive for startup, but there should be more incentive for growth. So you don't say when you've gotten to this point, then maybe you pay more tax. It should actually be when you've gotten there and you are now employing more people. You should even be giving incentive to get more, to grow more, to even export what you are doing. We should earn, if as much as possible, tech companies should earn incentive for export so that we can earn forex, not punished for even growing within the country, but incentivized to export and earn forex so that the exchange rate can also somehow stabilize. So there needs to be a lot of encouragement at this point. It's so critical. Something that Nigeria can get right and easily be at par with other parts of the world will be encouraging the tech sector and not taking any advice whatsoever that would stifle the growth or crowd out the growth of the ICT sector.
And it comes with communication. So for you to achieve all these, you have to communicate and communicate frequently. So like he said, our communication, being more deliberate internally as a company with our people. So there needs to be more deliberate and frequent dialogue between the ecosystem and the government. Today we have the bankers committee, we have bankers forums. There are so many fora for the banks to interact with their regulator, the CBN. And we need to have something like that in the tech ecosystem. We need to have more frequent conversations because only then can both parties share the pains and the issues that they are seeing, and then they work together. It has to be, it's a partnership. Assuming innovation and growth is the goal, which we know it is. If innovation and growth is the goal, I can't innovate for you, you can't innovate for me if we are not understanding each other's pain points. So underpinning all we have said is more frequent collaboration, more frequent dialogue in the spirit of partnership. If there are more deliberate attempts to encourage that, then I think it will go a long way to smoothing out the relationship between the regulators and the tech companies, and there will be progress.
So currently we are in Nigeria, we're in Uganda, we're in UK, we're already setting up Dubai. So for us, we want to ensure that at least we cover Africa, okay? But at the moment, we don't want to be too quick so that we don't burn out. We want to take it in an iterative manner, okay?